we need to talk about this guy. Not just the Tesla guy, not just the Twitter guy, not just the space guy. Because at this point, calling him a tech billionaire feels a bit like calling Napoleon a French guy with a horse. Elon Musk isn't just rich, he owns the infrastructure of the future. He controls global communication through X, formerly Twitter. He controls transportation and energy policy through Tesla. He controls space travel and military satellite networks through SpaceX. And he's trying to control AI and the future of intelligence with his own company xAI and a $97 billion bid for OpenAI. And as if that wasn't enough, he's now in charge of a hugely influential US government department. So in this video, we're breaking down the three axes of Musk's power. The trifactor that makes him the most powerful individual on the planet. How he shapes political discourse and public opinion, his grip on AI, space, transportation and energy, and his direct influence over US military and geopolitical decision-making. This is more than just a billionaire collecting hobbies. Each of these ventures feeds directly into the next one, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of power that no other individual, not even most world leaders, can match. So let's start by looking at social media and information. If you control the flow of information, you control what people think about, what they talk about, and how they perceive reality. And very few individuals, perhaps no one, has as much control over public discourse as Elon Musk. When Musk took over Twitter in 2022, he justified it with a free speech absolutist narrative. In reality, however, his leadership has reshaped the company's algorithms and policies to serve his own interests. So hang on, let's get this straight. You're telling me that one billionaire controls one of the most influential social media platforms in the world, and he alone has the power to decide who gets promoted, who gets silenced, and which narratives thrive or die? I mean, you must be joking! Anyway, the point is, by owning X, Musk controls who gets heard and who doesn't. It was revealed that Twitter engineers were instructed to artificially amplify Musk's tweets because he was frustrated about his engagement dropping, leading to algorithm changes that boosted his own tweets in other people's feeds, even among those who don't follow him. At the same time, he has reinstated previously banned figures, some of whom were removed from the platform for inciting violence, or for harassment, or for spreading disinformation. Meanwhile, left-wing and establishment media accounts saw their reach drop, while right-wing accounts, conspiracy theorists, and Musk-friendly accounts saw a boost in engagement. Journalists who criticized him were suspended, while accounts spreading misinformation about major world events remained active. This isn't free speech, it's control. A billionaire with direct power to decide what news and opinions get seen. Musk's leadership at X has systematically dismantled its trust and safety measures, turning the platform into a breeding ground for propaganda and misinformation, perpetuated by state actors including Russia and China, while also enabling harassment campaigns against journalists, marginalized groups, and political opponents. He's also prioritized fake news monetization by making community notes the only fact-checking tool and replacing expert moderation with community corrections, which are prone to manipulation. By firing the vast majority of Twitter's content moderation staff, Musk has created an environment where misinformation spreads faster than ever, and bad actors, whether that's foreign governments or corporate interests or conspiracy theorists, can now spread false information with little resistance. And because X is still the primary news sharing platform, what happens there has real-world consequences, shifting public opinion, elections, and policies. Musk's control of X lets him shape global discourse in a way that governments can't really counter. He has more influence over the political conversation than any media mogul in history, and he's using that influence to advance his own personal business and ideological goals. If one man can manipulate information on that scale, what does that mean for democracy? But what makes Elon Musk uniquely powerful is that his influence over social media is just one piece of a much bigger picture. He also controls the industries of the future. And that brings us to the second axis of his power, the tech economic empire. If Musk's control over social media lets him shape the conversation, his tech economic empire lets him shape reality itself. How we move, how we power our lives, and even how we expand into space. Technological and economic, or techonomic for short, is the second axis of Musk's power. Because when you're a regular billionaire, you own companies. But when you're Elon Musk, you own industries. Let's start with Tesla, Musk's original claim to power. It's often described as an electric car company, but to be honest, that's a bit like describing Amazon as a bookstore. Tesla dominates the global EV market, forcing legacy car companies to chase its innovations. It's also an energy empire, selling battery storage, solar panels, and even electricity itself. And perhaps most importantly, Tesla stock is basically a meme. Unlike most companies, Tesla doesn't rely on car sales as much as it does on Musk's ability to hype it up on Twitter. Remember when he tweeted that Tesla's stock prices were too high and immediately wiped out $14 billion in market value? Or when he announced he was considering taking Tesla private at $420 a share, leading the stock to surge by almost 11%? Or when he joked about Tesla going bankrupt on April Fool's Day, leading to confusion and a temporary dip in stock prices? That's not just a CEO making business decisions. That's a real-life stock market sorcerer. Someone capable of conjuring and vanishing billions of dollars at will. And somehow, he never gets into trouble for it, even though regular people go to prison for insider trading over much less. If Tesla controls the roads, SpaceX controls the skies. Now, don't get me wrong, SpaceX is genuinely impressive. It's the only private company in the world capable of sending humans to space. NASA, the Pentagon, and even the International Space Station depend on it. It also launches military satellites for the US, making Musk a key player in national security. And most importantly, it controls Starlink, a satellite internet system that is now essential for military operations, disaster relief, and even entire countries. That means that Musk has the ability to turn off the internet in entire regions if he feels like it. If a country pisses him off, he can literally pull the plug on their internet. So, what's the next thing that Musk wants to monopolize? Artificial intelligence. He actually co-founded OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, but he left when they didn't follow his vision, which is Musk speak for they didn't let him be the king. He launched xAI, a direct competitor to OpenAI. But that wasn't enough. He wanted total control. So earlier this year, he offered to buy OpenAI for $97 billion, a move that would have put two of the most powerful AI labs in history under his command. That's like leaving a band because they won't let you play lead guitar, and then coming back and trying to buy the whole record label. OpenAI have rejected the offer for now, but let's face it, Musk doesn't take no for an answer. So let's take a step back. Tesla controls EVs, energy, and the stock market. SpaceX controls space travel, military satellites, and global communications. AI is the next big battle he's trying to win. And here's the real kicker. Governments and industries are becoming dependent on him. Want to launch a satellite? You need SpaceX. Need internet in a war zone? You need Starlink. Want to compete in the EV industry? Tesla sets the standard. Musk is a private infrastructure provider for entire nations. And unlike an elected government, he doesn't answer to the people. So, how much further could he extend his control? Well, it turns out quite a lot. Because Musk isn't just influencing policy anymore, he's now inside the system itself. And that brings us to the final axis of his power, government and national security. You've probably heard that Elon Musk has been drafted into the US government by Donald Trump. Not just as an advisor, not just as a contractor, but as the head of an entirely new government department. The Department of Government Efficiency, or for short, DOGE. Yeah, I know. And the problem is, Donald Trump created this department using an executive order, more about executive orders up here, and that means it's not a real government department, so it didn't need Senate approval. And that matters, because it means no confirmation hearings, no congressional oversight, and no public accountability. Musk now has government power, and the only approval he needed was a thumbs up from Donald Trump. If Musk's media empire controls what we see, and his tech empire controls how we live, his government influence now controls how the country is run. And yes, that's exactly as concerning as it sounds. He wasted no time putting DOGE to work, and by that, I mean firing thousands of government employees almost immediately. Over 77,000 federal workers were immediately given a take a buyout or take a hike ultimatum, and thousands more were just straight up fired. The CDC, the Department of Veterans Affairs, and even Medicare services saw huge staff cuts, sparking chaos. So far, at least 2 federal judges have stepped in to pause some of these firings because, well, it turns out that randomly gutting government agencies overnight has consequences. So, what's the end goal here? Well, supposedly it's about efficiency, cutting down on waste and bureaucracy. But in reality, it looks a lot more like a billionaire CEO trying to run the government like one of his companies. Which, given that Musk laid off 80% of Twitter's staff and later had to rehire them when things broke, does not inspire confidence. Now, here's where things go from worrying to, wait, is this even legal? DOGE is trying to get access to some of the most sensitive federal data in the country. Officials pushed for access to federal payment systems, sparking major security concerns. Because, obviously, the most qualified person to oversee government payments is a guy who tweets about Dogecoin. Musk's team also attempted to get into Medicare and Medicaid data, which, considering his interest in biotech and AI, raises serious privacy red flags. But multiple federal courts have blocked DOGE from accessing this information. For now. So why could Musk possibly want this data? Is it about efficiency? Or is it about control? Control over government spending, public health, and infrastructure. At this point, you might be thinking, wait a minute, doesn't Musk run a bunch of companies that have massive federal contracts? Yes, he does. And that's where this whole situation gets deeply unethical. Because Musk isn't just inside the government, his companies are actively making billions from it. SpaceX and Starlink have secured over $10 billion in federal contracts with NASA, the Pentagon, and the Air Force, with the US military depending on Starlink for its communications. Meaning Musk has direct influence over defense policy while also being in charge of the company profiting from it. Tesla, meanwhile, has benefited from massive federal EV subsidies, including recent multi-billion-dollar clean energy incentives, ensuring that government policies that Musk now influences directly benefit his business. At the same time, xAI, his artificial intelligence venture, is competing for the same government contracts as OpenAI and Google DeepMind, with Musk's position in government allowing him to influence AI regulations in ways that benefit his company. And yet, despite these glaring conflicts of interest, Musk hasn't recused himself from any of these decisions. And things are getting out of hand when even Trump's inner circle is getting frustrated with Musk's power grabs. Senior officials have complained that DOGE is operating independently, making massive decisions without consulting the rest of the administration. In addition to that, multiple lawsuits have been filed against DOGE by federal workers, labor unions, and privacy groups, and some federal agencies are actively resisting Musk's involvement, with Treasury officials flat out refusing to give him access to financial data. It turns out that even a Trump White House has limits, and Musk is speedrunning how to find them. Let's recap. Musk is firing thousands of government workers and deciding which agencies stay or go. He's trying to access sensitive federal data, from financial systems to healthcare records. He has a government job but faces no government oversight. And his own companies directly profit from the very government he is now restructuring. What happens when policies are shaped around SpaceX, XAI, or Tesla? And what happens when an unelected billionaire has more power than most elected officials? So, here we are. Elon Musk owns one of the most influential social media platforms. He controls space travel, global communications, and defense infrastructure, and now he's inside the government itself. One billionaire. No checks, no balances, no oversight. Now, depending on who you ask, this is either the future of efficiency or the start of a cyberpunk dystopia. Musk fans will say, he's shaking up the system, he's running the government like a business. But the truth is, no one person should have this much power, especially not an unelected billionaire with a direct pipeline to government contracts. This isn't just about Musk, it's about what happens when tech billionaires become more powerful than the governments they used to lobby. And it raises some pretty uncomfortable questions. Is this just the beginning? If one billionaire has been able to amass this amount of power and influence, what's to stop other billionaires from doing the same? And if democracy is supposed to work through elected representatives, how do you hold someone accountable when they don't have to answer to voters? Elon Musk is much more than just the world's richest man. He's reshaping industries, controlling the flow of information, and now literally reconfiguring government itself. An unelected ruler shaping the future with no one to stop him. And if this much power can be concentrated in one man's hands, where does it end? If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. My name's Connor Haynes, and this has been Haynes Explains. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a thumbs up, and then maybe hover over that subscribe button and give it a click. It really helps the channel. Also feel free to leave a comment. Let me know if you think Musk's power is good, bad, or something else entirely. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.